Helen Yee here with Eyes on the Game here at the Schmozone, being joined by the one and only, the undefeated Mr. Viddal Riley. Now, you have a huge fight coming up on the undercard of Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr. against Rashad Coulter, who not only is a former UFC fighter, but he's had a couple boxing fights and under two names. What do you make of him?
Obviously, he's a credible opponent. Someone who's a fighter in the true sense of the word across multiple disciplines. So I expect him to be a challenge of some sort. But when it comes to boxing, you know, my IQ of boxing, the amount of time I've been doing boxing, I know I've got a beating of him. So yeah, he's a good opponent, but I know too much about the sport.
Have you been impressed with what you've seen of him so far, though?
I haven't really watched him. Yeah. I'll be honest. I don't really watch my opponents until the week of the fight. And it's not the week of the fight yet. So I focus on myself and I let my manager and my coaches tell me a little bit about him. And I just kind of perfect my game. And then the week of the fight, I'll say, okay, they do this a little bit, they do that. But I prefer to go in with, you know, not much knowledge because it's easier to adapt that way for me.
True. Very well said. And you have a great manager, Amir Abdallah. He is sitting, in the room right now. Got to give him a quick shout out. But you last fought in February. That was kind of before everything started to shut down. So how has this camp been under new circumstances?
A lot of people gain weight during that quarantine and the whole pandemic, but I'm very disciplined, so I didn't have to worry about cutting too much weight and stuff like that. I just took time to focus on more away from the boxing side of things, but just focusing on my body. So adding more yoga into my routine and more physiotherapy into my routine, because that's as important as learning the skill of the sport. So knowing that I wasn't going to compete, I just spent more time doing those things. And then when my manager Amir gave me the call about the fight, it's easy to always snap back into boxing. So it's cool.
Yes, and yoga is good for the body and the mind. But looking at the main event, Mike Tyson, Roy Jones Jr., when that first got announced that Mike Tyson was going to come out of retirement, were you surprised, or what was your initial reaction?
I was surprised, but I wasn't. I feel like Tyson just didn't have an opportunity that was enticing enough for him to come back. But we know he's a fighter. We know in his spirit he wants to fight. We watched his podcast and he went into that speech about how he studies the art of fighting. He misses being that guy. So when the opportunity was given to him to be that guy again, I'm not surprised he took it. And obviously Roy has been competing, and he always says, if someone offers me, I'm never going to say no. So it's perfect that both guys gel, two legends, to deliver hopefully a very entertaining main event.
Do you have any predictions or thoughts on that?
I don't want to make any predictions. I refuse to, respecting both legends of the game. But what I do want is both guys to be healthy, safe, and enjoy it. Yeah. And, they've been at the top of the sport in the past, and I want them to have that feeling again and just soak it all up, because we know the age of the guys, we know where they are in their life. So the fact they're getting this opportunity to be in the limelight again, I just want them to enjoy that.
Well, I saw you were at Tyson Ranch about a month ago. What was the biggest lesson that you took away from talking to him and just learning from him?
Tyson's an interesting character because I'm just a random guy in his ranch, when we go there. But
you're not a random guy, okay?
To him. But then when I asked him a few questions, he opened up straight away. He has his combinations on his heavy bag, and I just asked him what one of the punches meant. And once I broke the ice with him from there, we just had a proper conversation. But one of the things that will stick with me forever is he said, don't think the grass is green on the other side, because both sides of the grass has to be cut. And when he said that to me, I said, okay, that's something I'm going to store forever from Mike Tyson. So that's, things like that is what I live for, just those experiences and to be in the company of legends.
Well, speaking of legends, you've also fought on the undercard of a Manny Pacquiao fight. Manny has said that he's expecting to fight Conor McGregor in a boxing match in 2021. What do you make of that?
I think we're living in very interesting times. We're living in times where fighters are can make very lucrative opportunities based on social media and based on the amount of traction they can bring from the worldwide public, not just boxing fans. I feel like in the past, fights were made for sporting fans of that sport. Now we're finding ways to make fights that are going to widen the horizon and reach out to many more people. So as much as it sounds, ridiculous, or it's not going to be competitive, you got to realize that's not the aim. The aim is to reach out to as many people as possible. Conor McGregor, Manny Pacquiao, two huge names who can generate a ton of money, and at the same time, McGregor's now had a fight against TBE, as we know, my promoter Floyd. So he's been in there with the best that boxing has to offer, and I guess he's maintaining that level by getting in there with Manny. So I think it's interesting. You just have to really adjust to the times and, just flow with it.
Do you think he'll do better than how he did compared to Floyd? Or
I don't think he will do better because Manny Pacquiao is an aggressive fighter. Yeah. Floyd is a counterpuncher, and because of McGregor's style, it forces Floyd to be aggressive and come forward and be something that he really isn't in his natural form, which is why the fight went longer than needs be. Whereas Manny Pacquiao is aggressive. He comes out, he throws 5s and 6s straight away, which is going to put McGregor under pressure sooner, and I think that will lead to McGregor getting stopped a lot quicker than Floyd did it.
Another big boxing fight that just happened, Teofimo Lopez just beat Vasily Lomachenko. Curious to get your thoughts on that.
Oh, I predicted Lopez to win. Yeah. I don't know, maybe I was just going with the young guy. He's the same age as me, so I just thought, let me just roll with
23, the Jordan age.
Let me just roll with the guy that's 97 born. And I said, yeah, I think he's going to do it. I know that legends and fighters like Lomachenko look invincible and they look like they can never be beaten. But in boxing, we've seen it time and time again across many generations where these upsets happen and these guys do overnight seem to age. And the youth, someone has to come through. Someone has to take over. We know Loma had a shoulder issue, but at the end of the day, if you're injured and you lose, no one cares. It doesn't matter anymore. You took the L. Either you say I can't fight because of my shoulder, or you lose with dignity and leave it at that.
And lastly, what would you like to tell all your fans who can't wait to see you back in the ring November 28th?
I just say, look, enjoy the promo, enjoy the build up to it, and when we get to the fight, I'll put in the best performance I can put in.